Hey everyone, this is Gendlin with Real Estate Skills. In this video, I'm going to teach you the 7 big mistakes I've made in my career after flipping hundreds of properties and what you should do to not make the same mistakes I did. Stick around to the end of the video where I'm going to tell you how a contractor stole $50,000 from me and how I should have seen it coming from a mile away. If you like what you see in the video, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more great real estate content. And download our free resource on how to talk to, hire, and work with contractors for your house flips in the description below. Let's get right into it. Mistake number 1, underestimating rehab costs. A common mistake house flippers make, and I've done it myself, is underestimating rehab costs. What that is to miscalculate intentionally or unintentionally the total rehab cost to renovate a house in order to sell it for a profit. This happens for 2 reasons primarily. When it is unintentional, usually this happens to new investors. They do not understand all the things that need to be quoted to come up with an accurate renovation cost. If a new investor is walking in a house and they see a crack in the ceiling, for example, they might think just to patch it and to paint it. But you might need to go check the foundation because you have a serious issue under the house that will cost you a lot more money. When it is intentional, it's normally when investors want to make a deal work even though they know the cost is higher, and they will lower it just so they can have another deal. For example, you and a seller are $5,000 apart from getting a deal done. But instead of negotiating a lower purchase price, you tell yourself you can get the renovation done for $5,000 less. This is a mistake I've made, and it always comes back to bite me in the behind. For example, on a house I renovated at 34 Jameson Street not too long ago, when I agreed to buy this house that needed a lot of work. But I was in need of another deal at the time, so I said to myself, I can get it done for a lot less. Not only did I not get it done for a lot less, but the real estate market slowed down at the same time, leading me to spend more money and sell the house for less than I thought. To make sure you don't make this mistake, you have to realize the renovation number is the renovation number. You have to stick to the renovation number you come up with and to make your offer and use it to negotiate with potential sellers. Something that I've learned throughout the years is that sometimes the best deal you can do is to not do the deal at all. Mistake number 2, not factoring in the money cost. The mistake happens when investors do not calculate what the cost is going to be when renovating their homes. This includes the cost of the loan payments, insurance costs, utilities, and other costs such as portable toilets on your property, and also having dumpsters sit on your property, which dumpster companies charge you a daily rate for that will accumulate. This can result in 2 things. You don't make as much profit as you think because you don't factor in all these holding costs. You can also potentially run out of money because you're buying a home to renovate and the lender's telling you you only need $20,000 as a down payment, for example, and you forget to check if you have enough money in your bank account to pay the $5,000 monthly in expenses that will incur when you're owning a fix and flip house. I can remember in my 3rd year of business when I decided to scale quickly and I took on a lot of renovations at the same time. I forgot to factor in that I might need extra money in case the projects go over budget. So I was using the money I set aside for one deal to finish another deal, which is a path to bankruptcy. And it's also known in the real estate construction industry as robbing Peter to pay Paul. The solution to this common mistake is understanding how much money you have to set aside for every project that you're undertaking. Never ever rely on one house selling in time for you to get the money back to do projects that you currently don't have the money to take on. Mistake number 3, underestimating your timeline. This is when you think you can finish a project a lot quicker than it really should take. This happens for 2 reasons, one intentionally and one unintentionally. When investors make this mistake unintentionally, just like underestimating your rehab costs, they don't understand how long projects of different sizes take. Whether from inexperience or a contractor telling you what you want to hear, so you end up hiring them for a project. Intentionally, it happens because investors either are trying to lower their holding costs to make the deal work, similar to the total renovation costs, Or they are trying to tell themselves, I can get this deal done and sold in a short period of time, and that money will come back in their pocket in no time. I've made this exact mistake several times, especially during summer months, because real estate sales actually fluctuate depending on the season and where you live. If you live somewhere where it gets really cold in the winter, real estate sales really slow down. So I've told myself on a project that I'm buying in the summer, I can finish it way before winter, even though I knew it would take much longer, resulting in me listing it for sale at the worst time of the year, which is the holidays. To not make this mistake when you are new, you have to rely on what your contractor tells you of how long it's going to take them to renovate the home. When you are experienced, look at the average renovation done per week to see how long it's going to take. If your normal $45,000 renovation takes you 3 months, you will know that you need about 1 month for every $15,000 of renovation costs in your budget. Mistake number 4, overestimating your after repair value, or the ARV. This happens when you think your house will sell for more than what other similar homes are selling for. Just like our other 2 mistakes, this happens for 2 reasons, intentional and unintentional. When you make this mistake unintentionally, usually as a new investor, you don't understand how to look at similar homes and compare them to the house you're trying to renovate. Maybe not understanding that your house on a busy street is not going to sell as well as a house on a cul-de-sac. When this mistake is made intentionally, usually by experienced investors, they are overestimating how much their renovation will bring in sales price because they think they will do the best renovation job. Or if the market has been constantly growing for the last few years and they have been selling their houses for more than the after repair value, that this trend will continue forever. I made this exact mistake when I was renovating homes in San Diego. For example, on Adams Avenue, I was looking at a project where the numbers were off by $20,000. And because the last few houses I sold brought in more money than I initially analyzed, I told myself this house will sell for more than what the comparables told me it was worth. And of course, this coincided with the market slowing down and me spending more money on the renovation because of unforeseen issues. I barely made any money and the project turned out to be a flop. What we always tell our students, and what I need to repeat to myself sometimes to not make this mistake, is you base your after repair value on the comparables you see in the last 90 days to 6 months. And do not try to predict what the house will be worth by the time you finish the renovation. To analyze any deals that you might be working on, check out our free ARV calculator in the description below, where you can plug in the numbers you are working with to see if you actually have a deal. Mistake number 5, overdoing the rehab. This mistake is done by investors when they make the house much nicer than the neighborhood demands, meaning that when the houses in the neighborhood are selling with laminate countertops, for example, you don't have to put in granite countertops to get the same sales price as other homes. This mistake happens for 2 reasons as well. Unintentionally, this mistake happens to new investors who get really excited about their first renovations and put in too many nice finishes into the house. They don't realize higher end finishes won't result in any additional money in their pocket. Every neighborhood has a sales price ceiling where if you ask for any more than that price, a home buyer will be able to afford homes in nicer neighborhoods instead of wanting to pay for the most expensive house in your neighborhood. Intentionally, this mistake happens when experienced investors feel overconfident in their quality of work and design style. They think because of their company name, they might get 10 or 20% more in the neighborhood because they did the work. There is a time when homes will sell for more than the highest comparable, but that is limited to when all of the comps are not updated. I made this exact mistake when I first moved to South Carolina and renovated my first home there based on the experience I got from renovating homes in San Diego, which were 2 or 3 times the price. I ended up making the nicest home in the neighborhood, but not selling the house for any more than the highest sale I saw when running my comparables. The solution to this is understanding the point of looking at comparables and what home buyers are willing to pay in any neighborhood. Renovate to the quality expected by buyers in the neighborhood by looking at other recent sales. Mistake number 6, hiring the wrong contractor, and oh boy, this one is gonna hurt and bring back some really bad memories. This is when you hire a contractor without doing proper research to see if they are a reputable person, who has the skill set, time, and qualifications to complete your projects. And there's two reasons this can happen. Number one is you decide to hire the very first person that gives you a quote for the renovation of your home. It's not always a bad mistake, but you might be hiring someone who is charging you 30 or 40% more than anyone else and you would never know, as well as potentially taking a lot longer to renovate a home. This happens to newer investors that don't educate themselves properly on how to hire and manage contractors. They might ask for a 50% deposit, which is not very common. I never give any deposit to any contractor anymore. That may result in them taking advantage of a new investor and taking their time to just get going on the project because you already gave them half the money up front. This can also happen if an investor is eager to start a project and they have not been able to find anyone else to give them a good quote and timeline for that project. Now, I don't want to relive this example, but I'm going to tell you when I made this mistake on a monumental scale so you don't make the same mistake. I had a contractor that I worked with for 2 years, and I gave him small deposits to start many projects he was doing for me. After some time, I knew he was having money issues, but I turned a blind eye and I told myself, this is not going to affect our relationship. Around this time, I purchased my first multifamily deal, and because of my history with this contractor, I asked him to do this project. And he asked me for a $50,000 deposit, which I gave to him on a Monday. By Friday, I could not get in touch with him and he had completely disappeared. The next day, I learned he gambled all the money at Harris Casino and lost every single penny of the $50,000 I gave him. I had to come crawling to my investor and explain to him how I lost 50 grand that he gave me to start this project. To avoid this colossal mistake, get multiple quotes from different contractors to make sure you're getting a fair price, and after you feel like you've received a price you're comfortable with, you want to verify references and reviews to make sure they are not scammers. And overall, make sure you complete your due diligence on anyone you're giving your money to. And finally, mistake number 7, closing on the first house that falls in your lap. This mistake happens to new investors when they want to get their first deal under their belt. It's very exciting to close on your first deal, and that excitement sometimes overtakes your education and logic of what actually is a deal versus a house that a realtor or a wholesaler is trying to convince you is a deal when you might know better. Take a step back and look at all the things that we train you on: the after repair value, the cost, and the time it takes to renovate a house. As someone who manages people who buy houses for me to flip, my job is to find reasons why every house they bring to me might not be a deal. For example, I've purchased homes in up-and-coming neighborhoods where I just wanted to own a home in this cool place. I just wanted it for the sexiness. Everybody wanted to do a project here. There was really no profit. I just wanted to do it in this particular neighborhood. It looked great on social media, but I ignored the basics. I spent 6 months renovating the house that someone ended up buying from me, basically for free because I made no money. To not make this mistake, have someone else double check your numbers. Contractors on your renovation costs, realtors on your sales price, and if you have a partner who can do both, then have them check both the numbers. And this will allow you to make sure the house is actually a deal. This is why we love to double check numbers with our students. And if you want to get educated on the right way how to flip houses, check out our free training below. To recap, let's go over the top 7 mistakes you don't want to make when flipping houses. Number 1, underestimating rehab costs. Number 2, not factoring in money costs. Number 3, underestimating your timeline. Number 4, overestimating the after repair value. Number 5, overdoing the rehab. Number 6, hiring the wrong contractor. Oh, that hurts. Number 7, closing on the first house that falls into your lap. And if you take these 7 mistakes to heart, they can save you tens of thousands of dollars on your projects and save yourself from hiring a private investigator to find the contractor that stole 50 grand from you. Be sure to download our free resource in the description on how to talk to, hire, and manage your contractor so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Check out our free training on how to flip houses as well. And if you like what you see in the video, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more great real estate content.